Hello everyone, welcome back to Ansarkari. So today we'll be taking up the newspaper for 4th October. So the first article talks about caste-based bias segregation in the prisons violate dignity. So it states that central and state jail manual, so they segregate their work according to the caste hierarchy, and the treatment of the inmates are from the denotified tribes is termed as the habitual offenders in the prison walls across India, and these are oppressive to the fundamental human dignity and personality. So the Supreme Court has asked the jails to states and UTs they should revise their prison manuals in 3 months, and the center it should address the caste-based discrimination in the Model Prison Manual 2016 and the Model Prisons Correction Services Act 2023 in the next 3 months. So basically, over here it talks about caste segregation and how we cannot differentiate people based on their caste, no matter where the place is. It applies throughout India, and it should be even be followed in the jails. And caste columns, they basically refer to caste in prisoners, and the registers they should also be removed. It also talks about caste, which untouchability, which is forbidden under Article 17 of the Constitution. The next article talks about internships to bridge the job market skill gap. So we have the Prime Minister's internship scheme, which was launched by the central government, and it aims to offer 1.25 lakh internship opportunities during the fiscal year 2024-25. And scheme is aimed to address youth unemployment by providing internships to 1 crore young people over the next 5 years, and they're intended to offer valuable workplace experience, making it easier for the participants to secure jobs after they complete their programs. And the applicants who meet the eligibility requirements, they can apply through an official portal, which would benefit from this scheme.
So here we can talk about the role of private sector, as we always state that there should be more integration between again industrial sector and the higher education institutions when it comes to again the new education policy. So that is one way of doing it. Second, we recently saw that employment incentive scheme, and that we are transforming and more we are focusing upon the efficiency and effectiveness of the ITI centers. And third can be through this mechanism, how we are including the private sectors. For example, Mahindra and Mahindra is there, Max Life Insurance, then Alembic Pharma. So these are different players. So there is going to be again a portal for this, and it will be offering 1,000 internships. So this is again experiencing as we are again on the job, and that can give us better again learnings.
The next article talks about agri-sector initiatives, which would be brought under two new schemes, and states are expected to implement them. So all the central schemes in the agriculture sector, they would be implemented into the two new schemes, Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana and Krishnoti Yojana. So, so Pradhan Mantri Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, that is aimed at promoting sustainable agriculture, and it would address food security and agricultural self-sufficiency. And so rationalization of various schemes to avoid duplication and ensure convergence and provide flexibility to the states. So the cabinet approved the signing of letter of intent enabling India to join the energy efficiency hub. And it also approved the National Mission on Edible Oils, oilseeds, which would boost domestic oilseed production, achieving the self-reliance in edible oils.
So we'll focus on the production of oilseeds like rapeseed, mustard, groundnut, then soybean, sunflower, and the sesame. So in this case, as we are again importing 60% of the edible oil consumption of the domestic consumption, and even because of the geopolitical risk factors or the vulnerability, for example, if we are importing sunflower oil from Russia. So the vulnerability as far as the imported inflation is concerned, that is also one of the challenges. So here also we are focusing upon boosting the domestic production capacity.
Marital relations must be exempt from rape provisions. So, this article talks about non consensual sexual acts by a man with his own wife as rape. So, this would impact the conjugal relationships and would lead to serious disturbances in the institution of marriage. So, the provision it excludes non consensual sex intercourse by husband with his wife if the later is over 15 years of age from the definition of rape. And it also reasoned that marriage did not obliterate a woman's consent. What the article was mostly talking about. Study quantifies benefit in AQI from fixing potholes, clearing garbage in Delhi. So this article talks about filling the potholes, fixing unpaved roads, and clearing garbage dumps. It can potentially reduce the particulate matter, which is PM, pollution from 15% to 26%. So this was stated by a study at in IIT Delhi. So unpaved roads, garbage dumps, and potholes they generate dust and therefore PM10 and PM2.5 particles. And so then winter's about to arrive in Delhi. This is when air quality begins to fall. And air pollution in India is estimated to kill 1.5 million people every year, being the fifth largest killer in India. So also, according to the air quality data by WHO, Delhi is the world's most polluted city, and India has the world's highest death rate from chronic respiratory diseases and asthma. And air pollution it also impacts the environment through reduced visibility, acid rain, and formation of ozone at tropospheric levels. We talk about Delhi reasons for deteriorating the air quality. So first is stubble burning since it shares its border with states of Haryana and Uttar Pradesh. So, one of the main reasons for increasing is crop burning by the farmers. Then, vehicular emission. So, Delhi has more than 9 million registered vehicles. Then, weather. So, due to the winter season, dust particles and pollutants in the air they become unable to move, and due to the stagnant wings, these pollutants they get locked in the air, so which results in smog. इसके अलावा lack of infrastructure is also a reason. So investment in public transport and infrastructure is low, which leads to congested roads and hence air pollution. And thermal power plants and industries. So industrial pollution, garbage dumps are also increasing air pollution and building up smog in the air. Then
So
fire.
in this case, few days back we have talked about that under the Swachh Bharat mission, we had the target to clear of 50% of the landfills by 2026. But again, this thing has not even started. So again, this is one of the major challenges when it comes to effective implementation. So particularly in case of Delhi, like we are seeing two like engineered landfill sites, they are under construction. So one is how we are using again the engineering skills in terms of designing also, so that we can work upon segregation of waste, and that is also associated with the behavior of the citizens as well, when it comes to again segregation at the household level. Secondly, we can talk about the waste to energy plants, how we can include the waste as a part of circular economy in terms of reprocessing it and reutilizing that. Another aspect, we can say that the role of startups and, for example, different higher education institutions like IIT Delhi is there. So they can include, or they can include the aspect of innovativeness using the technological solutions in order to provide again solution to the landfill sites.
Leopard population in Odisha's forest jumps by 22% to 696 in 2 years. So this article mainly talks about leopard estimation 2024, which was released on Thursday, and it estimates that the state's leopard population ranges between 668 and 724. And however, the present leopard population it lags behind the 2018 census, which was carried out by National Tiger Conservation Authority. So it which puts Odisha's big cats number at 760. So about 45% of the leopard population in Odisha is located outside the protected area network, and the territorial forest divisions have considerable leopard presence. So Hirakud Wildlife Division, it includes Debrigarh Wildlife Sanctuary, is another key habitat for leopard and has a significant leopard population. And Odisha's forest cover it accounts for 33.50% of the state's total geographic area.
So leopard, when it comes to again, it is an important plays crucial role as an apex predator in the ecosystem or the ecological balance, or when it comes to even the stability or the smooth functioning of the entire food web. So the habitat of leopards in India, particularly, like they are found in forest, grasslands, scrublands, and even the urban fringes. So they are found more prominently in states of Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Karnataka, Uttarakhand, and Rajasthan. So we can say that they are found in Himalayan foothills, Western Ghats and Eastern Ghats, Central India, and even parts of Northeast India. And IUCN status is threatened. So the challenges is habitat loss and fragmentation. So we are seeing increased instances of human leopard conflict. Then we are seeing that even because of agricultural expansion have resulted in shrinking and fragmentation of the leopard habitats. Second threat is poaching. So poaching, it is again related to the illegal wildlife trade for particularly like medicine and traditional medicine particularly. Then human leopard conflict is another challenge. Then road and railway accidents. So these are the threats. And when it comes to the conservation efforts, so legal protection under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, so they are protected under Schedule 1. Then in terms of monitoring, so like states, they are studying, they are doing population assessments of the leopards using methods like camera traps and radio collaring them. And in terms of habitat corridors, so these are being established like the wildlife corridors. Yes, we had detailed discussions regarding the conservation of elephants. So wildlife corridors, they allow leopards to move between fragmented habitats without coming into conflict with the humans, so that again we can preserve their essential genetic diversity. So important leopard reserves in India, if we go by the names. So Sanjay Gandhi National Park in Mumbai, it has having one of the highest population of urban leopards. Then we have Kanha National Park in Madhya Pradesh. Then Jim Corbett National Park, Uttarakhand. Gir National Park, Gujarat.
उड़ीसा में भीतरकनिका नेशनल पार्क है जो बायोडाइवर्सिटी के लिए फेमस है। उसके अलावा सिमलीपाल नेशनल पार्क है। और जो ओलिव टर्टल्स है वो सबसे ज्यादा उनका कंजर्वेशन उड़ीसा में ही किया जाता है, कोस्टल एरिया के आसपास।
बट यहाँ हम leopard की बात कर रहे हैं तो like for example India is again is home to 5 big cats which are found in India. Leopard is one of them.
An obsession with ranking is harming India's universities. So, India has its own National Institute ranking framework which ranks universities in the country. So, the purpose of university is to teach and mentor future citizens and to acquire and create knowledge through research. So, there is an overemphasis on research. So, Indian universities, they're all in the ranking race, and the metrics that focus system has created a situation which implies that education is a market rather than a citizen's right and state's duty. So higher education financing agency, it mobilizes market resources to fund the country's global rank aspiring institution in the form of repayable loans at comparatively interest rates. So, race for global rank sacrifices the essential function of educating students, which is not meaningfully a win for either. So, the importance of teaching and mentoring should be the first priority of the universities. And the higher education ecosystem is pervaded by a culture of publish or perish without a meaningful and transparent mechanism for accountability. Instances of plagiarism, data manipulation, and other research misconduct emanating from the premier institutes and universities. So, the undesirable and unintended consequences of preoccupation with the matrix. So, unbiased judgment, it must replace metrics, and universities, they must enable a shift in their institutional culture to value and enable success of both research and teaching efforts, which collectively contribute to the overall mission of being centers of higher education and learning. This was
So as it is stating that obsession with ranking. So this makes this like the target like we have increasing India's representation or ranking in top 500 globally ranked universities. So in this case, like another measure that we're focusing is institutes of eminence. So in that case, we are focusing how we can make them more competitive through even like providing them with the financial autonomy. So apart from this measure, as this article particularly is just talking about obsession with ranking, so instead of having obsession with ranking, we should see the universities having obsession with the variety or the diversity of courses which they are offering. Obsession should be with the development of modern infrastructure using again modern methods of teaching and the pedagogy. So it should be on the obsession should be with the culture and the ecosystem that is being created in the university at the higher education level. Obsession should be again with the effective implementation with the new education policy. So it will naturally translate into getting that global rank amongst and that recognition in the top 500 global universities. Then again here we can talk about again the efficacy and the effectiveness of the higher education financing agency also that was created few years back. So it helped in mobilizing market resources to fund the country's global rank aspiring institutions through repayable loans at competitive interest rates. So effectiveness can be judged on the basis of how effective has its role been in terms of raising those financial resources, how has it been like able to maintain the transparency in this entire process, how we are selecting the universities, like what is the basis of selection of universities in this case, and how many universities have actually got that global recognition, or if not global, how it has helped in increasing their competitiveness as far as education is concerned. So government has granted full autonomy to several public higher education institutions. So
Next article talks about why Italy matters to India. So Italy and India, they share common interest, but also joint challenges in the Indo-Mediterranean Sea. So the region is important for global trade, especially for Italy, which ranks sixth among the world's largest exporters. And it is also crucial for digital connectivity. And the Blue Raman submarine data cables, they will soon connect Genova with Mumbai. So apart from joining the group of friends of UNCLOS in 2021, it has been the second largest contributor to the European Union naval forces, Atlanta, and the European maritime awareness in the Strait of Hormuz. So, talking about the defense ties, so Italy and India defense cooperation, it has present in many fields from research to industrial cooperation, maritime domain awareness, sharing of information, and education and environmental issues relating to the military activities. Also, defense cooperation strongly relies on regular talks, such as the Italy India Military Cooperation Group. Apart from that, talking about defense production, so we have two companies, Leonardo and Fincantieri, which are ranked among the first 50 of Cipri's top arms producing and military service companies in the world. Apart from that, people to people ties as well. So Italy matters to India as a friend. So we host the second largest Indian diaspora in the European Union, and Italy is a reliable economic and defense partner, being the second largest manufacturing country in Europe and a robust security provider, which takes up responsibilities as member of the EU and NATO.
apart from this, when we talk about the historical ties between India and Italy, so they date back to the Roman Empire. So in this case, like when we take the example of trade, so in this case, we see like pepper was one of the most popular items that was traded around 30 BC. And eventually we saw that 70% of the Roman recipes, they required the use of Indian pepper. So trade in spices was most popular. Then during the Middle Ages, we saw that the trade it got weakened via the Mediterranean Sea because of the fall of the Roman Empire, but it again resumed after a few centuries. So in this case, we saw the contributions by Marco Polo. So he published his travelogue, just titled "The Travels of Marco Polo." So even in that, he described the life and the customs in India at the end of 13th century. Apart from this, during then when we talk about the British Raj, so trade and travel between India and Italy it reduced significantly due to again prevailing political conditions at that point of time. So we saw like Italian scholars they've participated in Sanskrit studies like and the Gasper Garisud. So he created the first chair of Sanskrit in Italy at the University of Turin. Then again, Ramayana was translated into Italian. Then in 1940s, during World War II, British they brought Italian prisoners of war who were captured in either Europe or North Africa to Bangalore and Madras. Then fascist Italy under again Mussolini maintained friendly ties with the Indian nationalist leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, and Subhash Chandra Bose, and he expressed genuine support for the India's independence. And when it comes to the geographical location of Italy, so we see that Towards the east, it is surrounded by the Adriatic Sea. Ion Sea is on the southeast of Italy, then Tyrrhenian Sea is to the west, and Ligurian Sea is to the northwest. So all these are part of the Mediterranean Sea itself. And land borders is with France to the northwest, Switzerland and Austria to the north, and Slovenia to the northeast. Mountain ranges, Alps, they form a natural barrier in the north, and it creates borders with Switzerland, France, and Australia. So Mount Etna in Sicily is Europe's tallest and most active volcano, which is there in Italy. The rivers is Po River, Po River, and Po Valley is there again. This is also in the north. And one of the most notable rivers is Tiber, which runs through Rome. And climate is again Mediterranean climate, which is suitable for the alpine conditions. And summers are typically hot and dry.
Should election commission ensure internal democracy in political parties? Sorry. So India's multi-party democracy, it thrives on diversity, but it sees political parties driven by individual charisma rather than internal democracy. So talking about the election commission in ensuring these organizations, they practice internal democracy as well. So election commission is a registering authority for all the political parties in the country, and it monitors whether they're functioning according to the constitution bylaws. And in the process, they also oversee whether the elections to their office bearers are taking place regularly. So one important point in this situation is the 2002 ruling of the Supreme Court, which says that election commission cannot go into the political process and anything which is part of the political process per se. So it has no power to deregister a political party based on any violation of these things. So it does whatever is mandated, do it with efficiency, and it is made to go into the internal process, the political process for deregistering will be running the risk of getting the poll body into a model where even the main stakeholders will start developing suspicion. So the election commissioner does not have any kind of mandate, but within the framework of the political party registration rules, the commission oversees the compliance with the constitution and the bylaws. They need to have an objective way of making the decisions, and this was what mostly the article was talking about.
So, what is the gist of the article?
The article talks about the election commission's role and how it is to abide by the constitution bylaws, but it does not have the power to deregister a political party. It cannot go into the political process.
So, when we talk about arguments in favor of this debate, which is again touching on the autonomy of the political parties versus the need for transparency and strengthening democracy within them, which is again related to again functioning of overall polity in the democracy in India. So arguments in favor would one would be again ensuring the democratic processes within the political parties they are adhered to in a periodic manner. So it can ensure transparent, democratic, and fair elections. So it can reduce the dominance of dynastic politics also. Second can be preventing manipulation and corruption. So that can also be one of the positive contributions. So ECS involvement, it could help monitor the process and ensure that elections rigging and unfair practices, they do not occur. Then thirdly would be strengthening the party's accountability in terms of ensuring fair internal elections. Political parties, they can be made more accountable. So we can say that uh, again, political parties, when it comes to functioning, so this should be part of the natural behavior of the politicians, whether it is again as a political representatives in terms of fulfilling the constitutional morality, or whether it is within the political party. Another can be compliance with legal requirements. For example, we have the Representation of Peoples Act 1951. So it requires political parties to follow the democratic processes. So ECI's involvement can again ensure it's again more formal adherence. And arguments against it, we can say that to what extent it would be again hampering the autonomy, or whether it would actually be hampering the autonomy or disturbing the autonomy of the political parties or not, is one argument. Then overburdening of ECI is another thing. Legal and practical challenges in terms of that there is no clear provision even in the Constitution of India or even in RPA Act. So, do we require any new legislation if this is to be taken forward? And interference in the party dynamics in terms of what is the organizational structures or the ideology of a political party and its conventional practices that it has been following. So, ECI's role, whether it would be how it would be influencing all these dynamics, and do we have any other alternative mechanisms in order to ensure internal political party democracy or not? Is like one we talk about again electing one of the internal ombudsman or third party audits should be there without ECI's involvement. So this can encourage more of self-regulation and civil society-led monitoring mechanisms. So this can help in balancing between autonomy and the accountability aspect.
Marathi Bengali among five granted classical language status by the Union Cabinet. So Union Cabinet on Thursday approved classical language status to Marathi, Bengali, Assamese, Pali and Prakrit. So India has had six classical languages till now: Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, Sanskrit, and Odia. And Tamil was the first language to be given the status in 2004, which was followed by Sanskrit in 2005. So the criteria is established by the Linguistic Experts Committee, and according to the committee, the following benchmarks it must be met for language to be considered classical. So, text recorded history over a period of 1500 to 2000 years, and a body of ancient literature text which is considered a heritage by generations of speakers. Apart from that, knowledge text, especially prose text, in addition to poetry, epigraphical, and inscriptional evidence. And the classical languages and literature could be distinct from the current form or could be discontinuous with later forms of its offshoot. So, what are the benefits of classical language status? It has two major international awards annually for scholars of the eminence in the language, and establishment of a center of excellence for studies in the classical language. Apart from that, requesting the UGC to create professional chairs in the central universities which are dedicated to these classical languages. Government sets aside rupees 10,000 crore to boost edible oil production. So the center approved the National Mission on Edible Oils and Oilseed with financial outlay of 10,000 crore. So India is dependent on imports to meet about 58% of its edible oil requirement. And the proposal was approved by the Union Cabinet. So this will focus on enhancing the production of key primary oilseed crops such as rapeseed, mustard, groundnut, soybean, sunflower, sesame, as well as increasing the collection and extraction efficiency from secondary sources such as cotton, seed, rice bran, and tree-borne oils.
So it is under the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare that we can remember.
Classical type for Pali, Prakrit, Marathi, Bengali, and Assamese. So the classical languages serve as a custodian for India's heritage, embodying the essence of communities' historical and cultural milestones. Taken up. Phase 2 of Chennai Metro approved. So Union Cabinet has cleared the long pending Chennai Metro Phase 2, which will comprise 3 corridors over 100 kilometers of new lines and 128 stations. Student politics is future facing. So this article talks about student politics, and it talks about democracy which thrives on the active participation of its citizens. So, but a democracy without student politics is incomplete. So when young people, especially in universities, they engage with politics, they bring out fresh perspectives, their ideals are sharp, and they can see society with a clarity that the older generation may sometimes lack. And that is what makes students capable of understanding the struggles of society and charting out the vision to take it forward. So, young people ideals, they're sharp and they can see society with clarity, and they become deeply sensitive to the issues of poverty, deprivation, social inequality, and economic injustice. So the youth, they have the energy and the courage to challenge the status quo, and it is essential to shaping not only the future of individual leaders but the futures of the democracy as whole. So, with rising educational awareness, more and more students from marginalized communities they are entering universities, and by some more supporting and promoting student involvement in politics, they're investing in the future of country, which ensures that the democracy remains strong, vibrant, and inclusive. So this mainly talks about the importance of student politics in democracy as whole and how it shapes out new ideas and leaders of tomorrow. Tale of narrowing ambitions. So this article talks about All India Conference of Student Activists, which was convened in Karachi in March 1931. And the objective was to mobilize young people against British imperialism. So this talks about the AISF, which is the students' movement, which split up in 1940, and the question of Indian independence of the larger solidarity against the global struggle against racism. So it led the formation of National Congress Student Organization, which is also known as the All India Student Congress. And the first conference was held in Patna in 1943. Reset of economy in 1991, it coupled with the global collapse of communism and political transformations in Eastern Europe, which brought an era of ideology-driven debates, which is important in student politics. So globalization and the liberalization of the Indian economy, with its alignment to Washington's consensus, it opened up new vision ideas for young people. And the American alternative. So this talks about reshaping the global infrastructure, financing investment, and promoting the China Center model of development. So this talks about projects associated with BRI. So they've frequently led to substantial financial obligations for participating countries. In China, it often frequently prefers to extend or renegotiate loans rather than offer debt for forgiveness.